All right, today we're working on Unit 7, Lesson 17. It's interpreting remainders, thinking about how you express remainders and the division at numbers as mixed numbers or decimals. So it's just that shift. I've already been kind of doing some of that as we've been going through the lessons, so that shouldn't be too new, I don't believe. SAB page 311 through 314. Okay, so we're just deciding what to do with the remainder. And when we divide to solve problems, we need to decide what's going to happen to the remainder. So you can think about it becoming a decimal, a fraction, being left as a remainder, what you do with it essentially at the end. So these are just some problems to think about what we do with the remainder. Okay, sometimes you just ignore the remainder, sometimes you need to round up to the next whole number, and sometimes you want the remainder in the form of a fraction. So we'll kind of go over those. The gift wrap department of a store has a roll of 1,780 inches long. It takes 1 yard of ribbon, or 36 inches, to wrap each gift. So how many gifts can be wrapped? So with this, you're going to do some division, right? You're going to take 1,780 and divide it by 36. Sorry, that was pretty small there over on the side. Think about that place value. 36 can't go into 1. 36 can't go into 7. 36 can go into 178. I could think about it as 40 going into 180. I would guess then about 5 times. That's not going to work. I'm going to drop it down to 4 times. Okay, 4 times 36 then is what we're working with. So 4 times 36 is 144, so we're going to subtract out 144. Okay, 34, and we're going to bring down a 0. Okay, 36 into 340, well, it's clearly not going to go 10 times because 36 times 10 would be 360, so I'm just going to drop it down to 9 and do 36 times 9, okay, which is 324. And then I'm going to subtract out. So cross out the 4, make it a 3, 10, we get 16. Okay, so how many gifts can be wrapped? 49 gifts, right? But we're going to ignore this remainder. We don't want to do anything with it. Well, why is that? Well, because 16 inches of ribbon is not enough to do anything with for these gifts. So 16 inches of ribbon is not enough to do anything with for gifts. Okay, so let's look at the next one. There are 247 people traveling to the basketball tournament by bus this year. Each bus holds 52 people. First, you might ask yourself, do all those people need to get to the game? Hopefully you said yes, they have tickets, they've paid for it, they need to go, right? So we're going to divide that 247 by 52. You can think about what you might want to do with that remainder. Okay, well, clearly 52, that is a terrible 2, sorry guys. 52 is not going to go into 24, nor is it going to go, so it has to go into the 247. Think of it like 50, right? 50 would go into 200 4 times, okay? So 4 times 52 then is what I'm going to try out, and I get 208. Okay, 208. And then I'm going to subtract. $39. Okay, well, there's 39 people left over. What do you do with them? Well, you need to bump it up. We need to have 5 buses then, because those 38 people need to get on a bus. So we round up because the remainder represents a number of people, and people need to ride on the bus. So round up because it's people. Ooh, that's supposed to be a B, not a P, because it is people. Right? And they need to get on a bus. You can't leave them behind. Okay, so let's look at the next one. Sometimes you want to write the remainder in a fraction. So when we look at this, we've got the students 28 students in Miss Colby's class are going to share 98 slices of pizza equally at the class picnic. How many will each student get? Well, there's enough for them to each get half a slice, because when we look at the number 14 and the number 28, and if we were to put 14 over 28, hopefully those of you that are really fast at your math facts would realize, well, 14 is half of 28. Otherwise, you know, you can always think about your reducing by dividing by 2 kind of thing, and just continuing on that way. You get 7 over 14, and then you may realize all of a sudden that 7 is half of 14. So they're each going to get 3.5 slices. Well, you don't want to waste that extra pizza. If there's enough for everybody to also have a half a slice, then you want to switch that to a fraction, because you wouldn't express pizza as a leftover or a remainder. So pizza would be expressed as a fraction. Often those slices could be cut in half, right? It would be like if you had extra cookies, you could split them in half. So sometimes there are things that can be leftovers, for example, can be cut in half or divided in half. Okay, so just thinking about what happens to remainders when we're done. All right, let's go ahead and go on. So we're going to kind of look at these, and we're going to use a decimal number instead of a remainder. And I think that you guys kind of know how to do this, so we'll probably just fix some of these. Okay. So suppose 16 friends earned $348 at a car wash. You can see the problem over here at the side. They want to divide the money equally. How will you know how much each person gets? Well, money could be divided into change, right? You wouldn't leave sitting around $80, right? That's an awful lot of money. Or $8, sorry. This is actually represents $8. So you wouldn't just waste $8, right? You would divide it up. Okay, so let's look at another one. Rectangle garden has an area of 882 square meters. The long side of the garden is 35 meters. How long is the short side? So remember, area equals length times width, right? And if we know the area, we know the 882 equals 35 times something times width, 35W, right? So we can think about inverse operation, which is what we do when we divide, and we can take the 882 and divide that by 35. If you guys want to pause the video at this point and go ahead and do that, that would be great. All right, welcome back. When you get back, you should see that 35 will go into 88 twice. 35 times 2 is 70. When I subtract out, I get 18. Bring down my 2. 182 divided by 35, or 35 times what equals close to 182? Hopefully you realize it's 5. Okay. 5 times 35 is 175. Well, I can't just toss the rest of this away, right? Because that remainder is important. So I need to take it into account as well. So what I'm going to find is that there's this remainder of 7 here, right? So I'm going to add a decimal, put a 0, right, and bring my 0 down. Okay, so 35 into 70, it goes twice. I need to make sure I bring that decimal up. 35 times 70, or 2 is 70, so then I'm done. So we would express this as the width equals, right, 25 and 2/10 meters. Okay, and you need to go out, otherwise you would have a strange space left over. Okay, let me do some erasing here and we're going to go on. A bagel shop has 138 bagels to be packed into boxes of 12 to be sold. The extra bagels are for the workers. So what are you doing with the extra bagels? You're ignoring them. You're getting rid of them. Okay, so we want to know how many bagels the workers get. That's asking what's the remainder. It's not asking how many boxes they can make. This is something that often happens on assessments, and so watch for, are they actually asking for the remainder? You need to think about what they're asking for. They want to know how many bagels the workers get. So we're going to take 138 and divide it by 12. Just going to grab my pen again. 138. If you want to pause the video and do that, you may do so. Welcome back. Hopefully you realize that 12 goes into 13 one time. Bring down, bring down. 12 into 18 one time. It's 12. What's left over is 6. So it asks how many bagels will the workers get? They get the remainder. They get 6. So 6 bagels. The workers get the extra, right? So that's what's left after they've packed up. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and go on and try a couple more. The Cactus Flower Cafe, all the tips are divided equally among the workers. Last night, the 16 waiters took in 1,100. How much did each waiter get? Remember, it's money, so you want to go into decimal form. Okay, so that's my hint for you. Go to decimal. Okay, let's read the next one. So you're actually going to do 1,108 divided by 16 and find your answer in dollars. Okay. Dollars. A gardener needs to move 2,150 pounds of dirt. He can carry 98 pounds. So if there's a remainder, what would you do with it? Round up, because it's trips. You can't leave that dirt behind. So whatever your answer is for the division problem, if you need to round the remainder up. Okay. Okay, you're going to come back and talk about these two in class tomorrow, and I'm going to pick a couple more on the next page for you. Actually, why don't you pick, let's see, let's do 8 and 10, okay? Think about what's going to happen on those and how you would solve them. I'll write them out for you. This one's 133 divided by 21. Okay, because Mia works 133 hours in the month of May, and there are 21 working days in May. How many hours per day will she work if she works the same number each day? Okay, and then we've got a meat packing plant, 180 kilograms of ground beef, and he's going to divide it into 50 packages. So how much is going to be there? So this one you're going to go to decimal form. And this one, you're going to go ahead and make it a fraction. Okay, make this a fraction. All right, choose one more on this page to do, and then come back and we'll talk about them in class tomorrow. This is where we'll start.